It's really dirty, Eric.
Hello, and it is really dirty, Eric. The
That was
first
perfect
word out of our
timing.
mouth as we're going live. Holy shit, that was funny. We're doing the surprise pop-up live. If you guys didn't catch us this morning, we've already been live today. We've been live with Johnny B and D420K. We've been hanging out. It was our number 42 sesh that we normally do on Wednesdays and Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific. But today we're back with a surprise live because guess what? Tara's traveling. We're out on Tara's tours today, and I'm bringing you an amazing guest that Eric has introduced me to. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in because Eric's dabbed already. Is he still figuring something out? Or are we going to jump right in?
Heat up to clean it a little bit.
Okay, we're cleaning the rig out because we're dabbing, we're having fun. Drake's hanging out with us in Canada. I'm coming to you from Oregon, by the way. I'm down in Eugene. No, not Eugene. Salem, Oregon. Salem. I was in Eugene last night. By the way, I was in Eugene, Oregon last night, hanging out with a new cannabis friend, a breeder, 2 dogs, which we also interviewed, which he also just got a cut of the Congo, you all. I'm passing out that Robert Street Congo to everybody I can. And so back to Eric. Hey, Eric, who do we have today? What's our guest? What are we doing?
Oh, I guess I'll introduce her.
Who is this lovely lady I've been hanging out with?
This is Carla K, or some might know her Eloquent Solution. She's a mentor of mine, and I've learned from her, and then we've also worked together over the years on a lot of projects, including currently on the Oregon Cannabis Commission. She's on 2 subcommittees with me, the patient access and the governance framework. She's a wealth of knowledge. You might know her from her work on Skunk Pharm research, which was the group that she co-founded that helped bring the first commercial closed loop systems to the cannabis industry.
The first closed loop system to the cannabis.
And they open sourced it as well as they did it. So not only did they show people how to do it, they taught people how to use them.
Wow.
And they shared not only that, but so much more information with the cannabis community and the industry, and it wouldn't be what it was today without Skunk Pharm research, and Carla's a huge part of that team, along with, we'll shout out JD and Joe and Kate right now, because why not?
Wow, what an honor to meet you today. I'm obsessed with you. I had no idea.
I'm flattered.
Woo!
Wonderful.
Wow. Well, as we were just talking, now I know a lot more. We were just talking how important it was, BHO extraction and these closed loop extractions, to get this medicine out to the people that need it.
Yeah, that was at that point in time was when I had taken my mother in, and that's what pressed me to extract, period, was that I had been cooking, doing the traditional perfumer's method of extraction, but it tastes nasty. And my mother with Alzheimer's was, a typical 2-year-old, and did what a typical 2-year-old would do, and that is spit it out. And so I couldn't get the cannabis into her system in the quantities that were required to resolve the issues that she had. And so I thought that the only thing that I could possibly do is to make the dose so concentrated that she couldn't spit it out. So I diluted it slightly with, I started with coconut oil and then ended up with MCT oil in the end, but just gave it a very slight dilution to liquefy it enough to, along with some other essential oils that I added to it, to put it under her tongue, and that there was no way she could spit it out, and so it would uptake into her system really fast. So that's what started me with concentrates and extracts.
Wow.
Was my mother's need for medicine.
What an amazing
And
story.
that story beginning to end, even today, is one of the most incredible things. I mean, I started her inhaling. The first thing when she came to Oregon, I got a card for her, and Alzheimer's was one of the first qualifying conditions listed at that time. Is it even a qualifying condition anymore? I think it got taken off.
I have to check with the current status.
But at any rate, she started by inhaling because she didn't like ingesting it. And once I came up with a formula, which is actually published online, came up with a formula for the sublingual, she was taking that regularly, like every 2 hours. If you didn't medicate her, you were in trouble. It's like it was ugly if you didn't medicate her. And she functioned like that for most of 4 years, until the very end of her life, when she was no longer speaking except for an occasional recognizable word. I mean, there's a lot I'm just dropping out. I'm just getting to the most interesting story. And she was for the second time in hospice care. And she started showing signs of a urinary tract infection. But it was a new doctor and they didn't want to just give her a prescription. They wanted to do a culture grow, and I couldn't get a urine specimen from her. And so Saturday morning rolled around, and she woke up in the morning and she was a teenage bitch from hell. I mean, and that's the way urinary tract infections affect older people, especially demented older people. And so, you know, she would not do.
Well, they hurt. Do you blame them?
But they don't show it in pain. They
Really?
just show it in anger.
Really?
Mood alterations.
So they're not feeling the pain.
I can't tell you that. It is just that that's not what the way they're acting.
They're acting
angry and mean and contrary and all of that.
Wonder if it's an infection in the body, right? Your body's angry. Wow, makes sense.
So she, so it's Saturday and I'm thinking, oh my God, here we are, full-blown UTI, and the doctor's office is closed. What am I gonna do? You know, it's like, oh, I could take her over to OHSU, that's Oregon Science Health University, Science University. Where they'll cath her and she'll kick and scream and cry, and do I really want to do that to my late stage Alzheimer's mother? No. It's like, what am I going to do? And then the light bulb came on. It's like, what happens when you take too much cannabis? You go to sleep. I'm just going to overdose her and put her to sleep. She has a regular doctor visit Monday, you know, at noon, 11 o'clock doctor visit. By noon, she'll be medicated, and on with her regular medications to get rid of this UTI, and everything will be good to go. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to knock her out for the weekend. But at that point in time, her sublingual dose of cannabis was 2 grams a day.
Ooh.
In this sublingual, it's basically like it's hash oil, decarboxylated hash oil with just enough MCT so where it can flow.
Just
so that it's uptakeable
under your tongue, so it's not going.
No wonder she spit it out.
It's not taking an hour.
She can't
to
spit
kick
that out.
in, and it doesn't have to get metabolized. It's going right into your
Right
bloodstream,
into your system,
or
and then
your sublingual or your buccal membranes.
it melds with the saliva. So what doesn't go into the membrane goes down your throat. So you get a head. You get
the extended release.
And you get the body, and you get the extended release of everything. So that's what we were doing.
Wow.
A huge dose.
But you know, and you had to do it like every 2 hours. You had to give her a dose, which was a portion of that 2 grams a day, right?
Yeah,
that's
a
so
lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, it would knock most grown men to the ground.
Yeah.
And so now I'm going to overdose her. How much do I give her? Usually, if I'm going to overdose somebody, I just double their dose.
Yeah.
But 4 grams, I was like, oh my God. And
yeah, that's a lot.
Have you ever been around anybody that's overdosed with cannabis?
Myself.
Did you puke? Did you puke?
No, I didn't puke. Okay, so I was really quick. It was a drink, and I'm someone that's really high tolerance, like we were talking about. And I took half of it, wasn't feeling nothing, and I waited like 5 hours. And I'm like, fine, I'm just gonna take the rest of it. And then all of a sudden, I got like the worst drunk high Drunk. It was a
But
drunk.
like the nausea part of like a spinning.
Yeah,
spinning
it was
part of
literally
right?
the room spins.
Yeah.
But you know, when you're drunk, you can put your foot on the floor and it stops. This didn't stop. This would not stop with nothing. I literally curled up in a ball at the end of my the bed of the thing. And I just curled up and then I took a hot shower and I was just, yeah, it was bad. Now, if I
But
would
you
have
didn't
known,
puke? You didn't
I'd
puke?
never puked, but if I would have known the CBD thing would have helped me out, that is a trick. Putting CBD, using some CBD really brings me back down to earth. Like,
Yeah.
and it immediately will take that, oh my God, I just ate too much because I ate a
Yeah.
cookie
Yeah.
and then I smoked CBD and it saved me. It was amazing.
Yeah, it mitigates the
Yeah.
psychoactive high of
Yeah.
THC is what
Yeah.
it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
But go back to your story.
So I just I'm like trying to figure out what I mean, already giving anybody 2 grams in a
Yeah,
day is gonna
shit.
like make them sick. And like, now what am I gonna do with my mom if I'm gonna overdose her? How am I gonna put her to sleep? And I just could not bring myself to give her 4 grams. I just couldn't do it. It's like, okay, even the 3 grams, my compromise was halfway in between, you know,
Uh-huh.
the binary decision. And literally, I thought about that. So that's what I did. I gave her 3 grams during the process of the day, but it did not knock her out. She was walking around, picking flowers. She became complicit and happy. But the most astonishing thing happened, something that I never would have dreamed of. I would have never thought, what if I would, you know, it would never come to your mind that it could possibly happen. She started speaking in full sentences, and she hadn't spoken except an occasional recognizable word every once in a while for 2.5 years. And now she's speaking in full sentence. I mean, it was not any, you know, deep intellectual conversation. It wasn't that. But it was pertinent to the situation. So when the doctor came Monday morning, so that was her dose, like, okay, that was her dose till she died.
Wow.
But the doctor came Monday morning and mom was still ambulatory. She opened the door and she said to the doctor, well, hello, how are you? I haven't seen you in so long. Come in. And the doctor.
Oh, holy shit. The doctor
never heard her talk. And he was like,
oh my God.
the doctor's eyes got like freaking saucers. Her mouth dropped open, her head flung around. She looked at me and said, what did you do? And I said, we don't know very much about cannabis.
Oh my God. I just got goosebumps from that story.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Oh my God. That just, oh,
Yeah.
whoo.
And that became her dose. And she
Which leads to the problem, 3 grams a day as the dose. What do you need? An ounce of cannabis to make that at 10% yield? So now she needs an ounce of cannabis a day for, let's say, a year. That's
It's not
where
cost
you
effective.
start to
or
run
feasible.
into the problems that
or think about how many brownies she'd have to eat a day.
Oh my God.
to get 3,000 milligrams. Do you
hell.
want to go eat
3,000
30
milligrams.
brownies?
I don't even like finishing the whole brownie. They're like too sweet.
So much sugar, yeah.
No,
I
that's
mean,
sugar.
and I always sound like a broken record when I say it, but it's like if you need a gummy as your medicine, and the strongest thing you can find is 50 milligrams, and you need 1,000 milligrams, you're gonna eat 20 gummies a day. That's your medicine.
Yeah. What
I mean-
medicine is sugar, packed with sugar? We call it medicine. But that's what the edibles all are.
Well, my comment has always been, so when was the last time that you went to the pharmacy and got your Vicodin in brownie form?
Yeah.
When was the last time that happened?
Yeah.
Now, and the problem
You
is,
can get morphine lollipops.
yeah,
Yeah.
Now they
yeah.
Now they
I mean,
do.
there are situations now, I look at my mom and it's like,
I guess I don't want to go to the pharmacy at all. I want to go get it in my own cupboard. How's that?
my philosophy was always make it and take it. The very
Apparently,
best
yeah.
medicine that you could, the very most effective, best medicine that anybody could possibly take is medicine that you did the research, you found the medicine that works best for you, which cultivar works best for you, and you sourced it, and you either found a clone or a seed and you nurtured it and vegged it up and bloomed it out and harvested and cured it the way you wanted and harvested at the exact time that you wanted and then extracted it and made it into a medicine. And I mean, how you couldn't possibly have more intent.
No.
You couldn't possibly. You selected the nutrients to give it,
I spent time with it. I
You
had the
talked to it.
energy. Yeah, I smelt it from the day one. I got to smell it all the way through. Growing so amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah, and so that I just believe really firmly, and if you can't do it yourself, then just get as close to that as you can. A relative of yours, or a friend of yours.
Yeah.
Or if you can't do any of those, get somebody that loves cannabis. Get somebody that loves cannabis, and those are the people that I want making meds for me. Is the people who are committed to what they're doing, and they can love it for a variety of different reasons. For what it did for mom, for what it did for self, what it did for friends, wives.
How good does it feel to tell that story?
Of my mom.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
All of the stories, the funny things that she said that made you realize that there was a person that was still there.
Yeah.
And my brother and sister would like, hey, she died a long time ago. To me, I saw her to the moment she died. I was holding her hand. The last
Wow.
words to leave her lips were, I love you.
And Cannabis did that.
And Cannabis did that.
That's incredible.
So something that I thought might be fun for you guys to talk about.
Yeah.
Tara is really into solventless extracts. Carla is, in some people's mind, the queen of BHO.
The beginner.
In her backyard,
Yeah.
she was teaching classes on a very regular basis for a couple years, where dozens of people were like learning how to make these machines. Everybody that's making and selling these machines were doing it based on that. Like she's, and that's her preferred method. But she's been smoking for, like she was telling us before this show, 50 years. Coming up a couple months from now is her 50-year anniversary.
No.
Oh, it's already happened.
She's
It's
already
just
had it.
passed. So 50 years she's been
February
consuming
of last
cannabis.
year.
50 years.
She went from flower, and then she did move to extracts, and it was solventless, and then she moved to butane. So I guess, I'm not sure exactly how much further to prompt that, but maybe you could say, what led you to butane over solventless? Was it the yield or the ease, or was it truly better, more efficacious medicine in your eyes? And this is also before we had the freeze dryers and the rosin.
Yeah, we didn't have all the tech.
So,
We didn't
have
but let's leave
Yeah.
that aside for a
Yeah.
moment. What led you to leave solventless behind and move towards the solvents? Yield or ethicity or something altogether different?
When I figured out how to make ice hash, that was my preferred for a long time, making KitchenAid hash. And I made a lot of it. But I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so I have had problems with my joints and whatnot. And ice hash requires a lot of freaking.
It's labor
Very labor
intensive.
intensive. So that was part of it. But in the end, once technology arrived and the rosin was really tasty, and I definitely tested some solventless stuff for
Hey Tara, the torch is too close to the mic, so it's cutting you all
Oh
out.
shit. Okay. Quiet that down, torch down. Okay, there we go.
That's why you have to.
I
do
I
cleaned it.
know.
cleaned the
Gonna
nails.
have to
The
use the
nails-
email.
The nails clean is good.
Okay.
So there you go. But at any rate, did testing some solventless. I was
It's
really
hot now.
excited to be part of the crew to test all of that. when it's like, okay, I get to be first on the list, and it's like, what do you want to test first? And it was like, okay, I love a bubble hash. I love it. So that's what I want to try. And so I was prepared for this yummy, delicious flavor that I so remembered and appreciated. And I got that for like a microsecond. Like, it was like gone so fast. And I realized immediately what I was tasting was ash, just the fiber.
Well, there's combustion.
Yes, and it made it all taste awful again. And so BHO is clean. It extracts just the eloquent range of hydrocarbons. It's just, everything about it is perfect if it's done right. I mean, you have to bring science to it, and that's the thing that you see.
But are people doing it right? They are now.
More and more.
More and more.
And right in your eyes, from the person that kind of introduced it, right? Can I kind of be
part of that
part of the group that introduced this? Like through the years, obviously there's safety issues we found out, there are different things. What's your opinion on it? I'll just let you talk on it.
Of where it is now?
Where it is now, where it was, and the safety. Where do you feel like it's safe now?
I believe one of the best things that our classes did for the industry was to separate the men from the boys. And that's kind of a sexist thing to say. But I mean, literally.
The people that wanted to be experts and the ones that just wanted to be hobbyists.
There were a lot of people who wanted to be experts that once they saw how fucking scary it is, and how much science is involved, and how calm, cool, and collected you must be to resolve issues that may come up that are really fucking dangerous. That separates you. I mean, I've dealt with situations where it was like, oh, fuck, this could blow up right now.
Oh,
you
God.
know, and I have to take care of this, because if I don't, that's another explosion in the neighborhood. You know?
So you always have to make sure you're in a proper environment.
Proper environment, air flow going, and you have to talk about all of that. You talk about the clothes that you're wearing. You talk about, you try to talk about all, when you're teaching these classes, all the things. It's like, what are your socks made of?
Let's not stick our cell phone light in the psych class.
Right. And okay, everybody who smokes cigarettes
or e-cigarettes,
take your cigarettes or your e-cigarettes, you take them out and you put them up there on the table, and your matches, take all of your lighting stuff and put them up there. There's not, because people who smoke will unconsciously pull out a cigarette and smoke right next to exhausting butane. That's how a lot of stuff happens.
A habit's a habit.
Yeah.
Right? It's a habit. You do things and not even realize you're doing it.
Yeah.
God, that makes so much sense.
I'm sure that a huge number of the explosions happened just that way.
Well, a lot of people would, open blast into a Pyrex, and then
open blasting in their basements, with family above,
not understanding the dynamics of the gas,
knowing where it's going to go.
It's heavier than air.
And then the other thing, because it was illegal, and because it was illegal, and because it was scary, who are they going to get to do it? The meth heads. Those guys are willing to do it.
That's just like moonshining.
I love it.
It was, there was some scary shit going on. And I thought, in the beginning, when we were just, blasting canned butane, I'm like, I remember, it's like I'm taking care of my mom, and we're like doing this canned butane, still researching, trying to figure out a good closed loop system and run every can. Man, we got to do it. We got to figure out a better way. another can, boom, gotta figure out a better way. And, you'd like, there were times that we would blast, 3 cases of cases. In
The master cases.
master cases of,
So that's a gross.
Can we not make these
144 cans.
refillable?
Well, we've moved that way.
that's things have changed dramatically.
Okay, well,
Things have changed
I love it.
dramatically. But, while I was trying to sell these machines to people all up and down the coast, mostly is where people were doing it. I talked to people who were buying like shipping containers of canned butane from China.
Because a larger operation could need hundreds of pounds a week.
And so they're like,
Well, how would you ever have enough?
well, you keep buying shipping containers. You just keep buying
So you have a larger
shipping
recovery tank.
containers.
You buy a 100-pound recovery tank, and then you buy a bunch of these cans,
okay.
and you crack the can, and you suck it through your system and distill it.
Yeah.
Which
okay.
leads to the mystery oil, which is another thing.
Right, and that was the next
They
thing.
found from cracking the cans.
That was, well, it actually the cans. We had a guy contact us saying, that was JD got this phone call from a guy.
Grey Wolf. Some people might know that.
Yeah, Grey Wolf. From a guy who said, hey, what's the weird stuff in the butane? He said, I loaded a case of cases into my machine, and when I opened the capture chamber, there was a film and a nasty odor on the bottom of the capture chamber. What is it? And JD, we'd always just shot it through and then went and extracted. And so JD went and bought a case of cases and loaded them all through. And it turned out that he took a sample of the nasty stuff that was in the bottom and found, without telling the guy what it might be, found a legal lab that tests all kinds of stuff and had them find out what was in it. And there were a number of carcinogens in very low level, but they add up. And so you had to
And
be.
there's still a problem with benzene contamination in gas. One of the forums I'm active on right now, one of the most popular threads right now is, benzene contamination in large tanks. And we're talking 100-pound tanks.
Right. So there's continued, and they talked about contamination with pesticides too, that it could contaminate your whole tank of butane.
That was always the thought. The thought was if it's like a polar pesticide that you're able to grab with your butane, then it's either going to end up in your extract or stay in your solvent and potentially continue to contaminate
other
extracts
things.
or.
And then there was the lab testing too. We didn't have any lab testing in the beginning. There wasn't any. So the best you could do was to look at percentages and what the typical cultivar that you were extracting, what its yield was. And you were just guesstimating. You're just guesstimating. So it was, okay, well, how much FICO is there in it, and working at it that way. So it took a long time before we even had the ability to look and see what was in it. But it did change when we found out about what we called mystery oil it's still known as mystery oil by those of us that were around for that. That moved right up in today when we went through our lawsuit with respect to the website and weren't publishing anymore. A bunch of new processors started, rather than independently loading the butane into the capture chamber, gassing it off and distilling it on its own and cleaning out any mystery oil that might have been in the bottom of it. They were shooting it straight through their column and capturing the hash oil along with the mystery oil. And that's what they were selling out of the dispensaries. Eric and Dove went to the dispensary and had purchased some and called me up and asked me about it. And I had just purchased some that was like, I know this flavor. This is mystery oil is in here. Because I was around when we did it, you know. And they explained the flavor and the couple of various strains, all from the same processor. It's like, yeah, that's what it is. It's mystery oil. And so we started I encouraged anybody who got anything with mystery oil in it was to take it back, get your money back, or get a new whatever with some viable.
And everything on the rec market goes through solvent testing now, relatively extensive solvent testing. So, you know.
Why don't we test for it?
Well, I guess I don't know what it is exactly, and it's still a little bit of a debated topic. I mean, there's you know, some suppliers out there that say, oh, we clean our tanks completely in between every refill, and we fill with 99.97 or whatever, so, you know, no need to distill. And there's some people that say, you know, it's 99.95 or above, but we still say that everybody should distill. And then, you know, there's some companies that say, oh, the mystery oil was benzene. And then there's some people who say the mystery oil was like the industrial, like grease or something from, you know, the valves or
just protection on the inside, the coating on the inside of the tanks also. There are a whole bunch of things that were talked about with respect to the mystery oil, but it still was there. It was nasty smelling, and there's no way that I would want it in any medication. And then I look at
any contaminant.
Any contaminant. But the thing that makes me concerned about doing it with every ounce of solvent that you might use in your process is that you know, I started every class that I taught, I, you know, pressed everybody to pre-distill their butane. And I said that I don't know if it's, you know, if it's
well, I mean,
99% or whatever. I don't know, but I would
7
encourage
times distilled, 13x. That's what the X on the can stands for. Like, on 13x.
But even if
okay, yeah, I wondered what that.
Like, but even if they're buying N-butane,
right here.
even
so like this is ultimate. So what does this one mean?
So it says ultra refined, ultra premium microparticle filtered. So it means they filled it through microparticle. I don't know what micron
particulate that
would
would
I don't
be.
know if that'd be like mesio or micro or nano, or, you know, what mesh size that is.
It would have to be nano.
It doesn't say an amount of times it was distilled, but there's a lot of brands that will say like 7x, 13x, stuff like that.
Yeah, I have one that says 7 and 11.
That just means how many times it's been
How many
distilled.
times they've
So
supposedly.
if I'm gonna buy some and like I'm gonna
But you're filling your torch with it.
Okay,
to
so
keep-
this is
Doesn't
all
matter.
I'm doing. Does it
Doesn't
matter?
No.
It doesn't, like, maybe it keeps this cleaner, like maybe it burns hotter. Maybe is there maybe something I might want to think about that?
Well, if you think about how gases are, how they're captured, they distill them at various temperatures, and each of the various gases gas off at various temperatures. And so they take those categories of different temperatures and they gas it off and collect it. So they collect it into individual fractions. They're fractionating, you know, all the various gases off. And then when they're through cleaning it all and taking everything that they could possibly sell, they have stuff that's left. They call it white gas. And
or like camping stoves
and whatnot. And it's got all kinds of crap in it. That's why the original RSO, it was like,
naphtha.
Oh my God, because he was using naphtha to extract
and
with.
had no idea, right? Obviously,
I don't know what Rick Simpson knew and what he didn't know. I mean, he did in the end say that he was using pharmaceutical grade naphtha, And there's
I've
no
also
way.
read that in Canada, naphtha means something different than what it
Is that
means in
true, Drake?
America.
What does it mean?
And that
I'll find out, but I don't.
Canada,
Sure,
naphtha is like hexane or heptane, one of the two. And then in the United States, naphtha is, I read that somewhere. Don't hold me to that. I don't even have a source. It's just that's anecdotal from the internet.
Something I heard or
Yeah,
read
Drake,
somewhere.
Google it.
Google, are you Googling
No
it?
idea.
Pull that up, Jamie.
I'm trying.
Hey, Jamie, do your job, Jamie.
Hey, and then Tara, there's different, like from the store bought over-the-counter butanes and just cans for like a torches and stuff. Different ones will have different blends as well. Like you find one with propanes and different additives in there that will cause them to burn at different rates and
Yep.
higher and faster. And that's kind of something you could look for. But I think the butanes in general will probably be pretty similar.
See, I was thinking it would be kind of like your car, say unleaded and regular fuel. So unleaded, is cleaner, and then your higher octane ones are cleaner. So then doesn't that make your car engine burn cleaner and maybe hotter? But so maybe I want this to burn cleaner and hotter, and it would, I don't know. Is that a thought? I
Well,
have no
if
idea.
when you're buying propane, for instance,
Mhm.
you can buy propane bottled propane that burns hotter than just those little green. Containers
Well,
do.
another benefit is that propane has a lower boiling point. So for instance, that's why, this might not be the reason why, but I believe it's why they use propane for camping fuel, because even when it's cold outside, your propane's gonna boil at those temperatures and you'll be able to have fire. Whereas with the butane, if you're below, freezing, if you're at -2 when you're camping, you're not going to be able to use your butane stove.
But if you're using your that's butane, but if you're using propane though, and you're using it for various functions, like if you're welding with it or throwing a bead on some copper pipe or whatever you're doing, you might want a hotter flame, and
Yeah,
then they make them.
acetylene,
Yeah,
and
right.
so it would depend. They do sell those
They
red
do.
tanks or yellow tanks that attach to the same nozzles if you wanted a hotter flame.
But then
I don't want a hotter flame, especially, with my little travel rig, this little guy, that little rig, you don't want to really.
Yeah,
push
more
that
so when we
very
think
hot.
about solvent selection, as far as extraction is concerned,
It's
we're
just
thinking
more
about
for-
what temperature are we boiling it off at? What temperature are we condensing it at? What does it have an affinity
Okay.
towards? What are we able to dissolve with it?
right.
Very cool.
What is it?
Do you
What
need a
does?
dab? You've been talking a lot. Do we want a dab?
Yeah, so this is
Yeah.
clean. I
Yeah.
cranked the
So
heat up
it's-
to like
go ahead.
1,000 and then
Wait,
brought
what
it-
would
and
you
then
like
brought
to
it back
dab?
down.
Did you try all these yet?
Oh, I did do this
Did
one.
you try the sour apple yet?
I did the sour apple. What was the other
Okay,
one?
the sour apple, tangy, and I brought missing gold.
I haven't done the missing gold.
Okay, well, let's
I've
get that
only
one in
done the
there.
tangy. Let me
Let's
get that
get
out.
Back
of
when
there.
Carla was doing classes, and this was way before butane or closed loops or anything was regulated in the state.
Yeah.
We're all medical, so we were allowed to have the cannabis, and then the machines were just completely unregulated. So she
But
had
I
this-
did shut off all of my pumps at 10 o'clock at night. I didn't run the pumps after
Sure.
that.
And which, so you got to stay with the local regulations with noise, but she had this outdoor patio that was enclosed that she would teach classes on, and they were running, columns all day long. And she had this table in her living room that they were like 4-ounce jars, so like baby food sized jars, probably like 3 dozen of them that were all just full of, essentially live resin, just really high-end extracts. So 2014, the first time I was ever in her house, I was like, holy crap, this is like Mecca. Never seen that many extracts. And before class started, she said, does anyone want to dab? And there's like 14 of us. And I watched her floor like completely knock out like 3 or 4 people. Like, she was just globbing pea-sized dabs, and
Well, then I started realizing that I was hitting people too hard. And so I started prefacing, especially newbies, with this story about my growing up as a child with a logger father, and that logs that that cut loose from log booms going up Puget Sound, we would snag the uniform ones and put like, Dad would put my brother at one end and me at the other end, and he would straddle, bear hug the log and had us spin the log with him bear hugging the log. And he would hold his breath till we were frightened, stopped it, he got off, and then he put my brother on the log. And I'm thinking to myself, just like time it, only breathe when you're above the water. And we spun the log, and Dad stopped after a while, and my brother fell off the log choking and sputtering. And I'm thinking, you fucking idiot, you should have timed your breathing. And then it was my turn. And even telling, every time I tell this story, I can see exactly like I was on the log again, bear hugging this log with my dad on one end spinning it, my brother on the other end. And all I can see is blue, green, blue, green, blue, green. And there's never any air, that the water just continued as they spun it just to form this encasement around you. And there was never any air. And so they stopped, and I fell off the log choking and sputtering and being ashamed of my calling my brother names. And and my dad stood at the end of the log and put his hands on his hips and said, "Why didn't you let go of the log?" So I would say to people, just because I like this, just because I put a dab
You don't
in
have
there,
to keep inhaling
you
it.
don't have to do it. You
Let go.
of the log.
Let go. And also,
Because Carla was
people
giving
to hold
people,
their breath.
Carla
too.
was giving a lot of people not only their first dab, but they were like the size of a pea. She'd give people like pea, like burp, and then they didn't know what they were getting into.
Is it affecting it now, Drake? The torch? Okay, I'm
You're
good.
good. You're good.
Awesome.
We got it taken care of. Oh, where's the?
Oh, the carb cap. There you go.
Where'd it go? Cheers, everybody out there who's hanging in. Sorry, chat. I haven't been in chat. I've been really paying attention over here, enjoying this amazing conversation today, you guys.
Well, I'll give a quick shout out. We got Dab, PIYI, Medic, Grace Ungrown, Cameron. Cheers, Cameron. What is good, my friend? Top Floor Genetics, CBC, TAO. It's good to see you.
Holy shit, we got a whole bunch of people out there.
Let's
Hi,
get-
guys.
Everyone dabs up. For everyone I missed there, legalize. It's all good. We care about you all. We appreciate it. Please like, share, subscribe. Make sure you're on live chat. And most importantly, get those rigs loaded up.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Light it
Are
up.
you
Dab them
ready,
if you
Eric?
got them.
So while everyone's dabbing, do you want to maybe share one of the best times you gave somebody too much cannabis, either a dab in your living room or like another time you overdosed somebody one way or another?
So before we got started, we're sitting here talking. This gal hosts like high times in her house.
Yeah.
Like, Carla, I'm like, holy cow. High times event in your house.
They
What
put
a funk.
Like 2013 or so, there's a magazine, High Times Magazine actually has her backyard lab in the magazine.
shit.
right,
Oh
a huge
my
article. It
God.
was like,
And what's funny is it
wow.
was like state of the art at the time, and it's the size of my bathroom. Like no joke.
it
Not-
was a little bigger, but not
no,
much.
not much. Literally not much. It was so crammed. It was a very tiny space.
Yeah, we had to bring people in groups.
Yeah. No, it was like literally the size of my bathroom. The pavilion was outside, but roto vaps and vacuum ovens and
Yeah.
fun little stuff.
Yeah, connections through the wall.
Connections through the wall, so you had all your pumps and stuff outside.
Outside.
And you were running like C1, D1 ish.
Yeah, it was pretty
Oh, it
cool.
was crazy. I still have that panel in my basement of
Oh,
all
do
the
you?
hoses.
With all
that-
those connections
Yeah,
through the
yeah.
wall.
I was thinking we need to auction those off or something.
JD might want them. We might have to give them to JD.
Right on.
But that's Grey Wolf. But probably the funniest
Which one?
is Crystal to help me
Let
dab.
clean that up.
The funniest person that I dabbed out was this heavy set woman. She was like, like 5'2" tall and maybe 4'8" tall and 3 feet wide. I mean, she was a heavy set woman and really nice lady. But I gave her first dab. And she was sitting in this little slipper chair that I had, hardwood floors. And the next thing I know, she's on the floor here. Oh, you got
She
it?
just wiped it
I
off.
got it.
Okay.
We're doing it. We're cleaning. We're sanitizing over here, y'all. Trying to do our job.
The next thing I know, she's laying on the floor on her back. And I'm like, dude, are you okay? And she's like, yeah. I said, I could swear you threw yourself on the floor because your shoulders hit the floor before your ass did. And her response was, I did. She said, I thought I was going to pass out and I wanted to be on the floor when it happened. That was too funny. And then there were the growers.
So, how often do people pass out when you give them a dab? I luckily have not done that to anybody. I really try and be gentle because
that was the only person that I ever, and she didn't actually pass out. And the only person that I ever saw actually pass out, JD Grey Wolf dabbed. We were having a business meeting, Farmer Joe, JD and I, and this couple who had flown in from New York, and we had arranged for a doctor's appointment so she could get her card. And when she had cancer, 12 children, and she had cancer and she was dying. Her sister called me, begged me to help them. And so they go to the doctor, they get the prescription. So now they're legal to do pot, and they show up at my house, breaks up the business meeting. And JD, I love Grey Wolf dearly, but he only has one mode, and that's leader. So if you can't accept that about him, you're in trouble, So he takes over. I mean, usually I'm the one that interfaces with all the sick people, right? He takes over, and he asks her if she's ever done cannabis before. And she said, yes, a long time ago when I was an early teenager, I took like one drag off of a marijuana cigarette. And he said, oh, okay.
So basically an expert.
Yeah, right. He said, okay, cool. So you have some experience in this. Like the way we did it is if you smoked less than an ounce a month, then only one drop sublingually, one drop. And if you smoked, like 2 to 3 to like that area, 2 drops. And if you smoked over 4 ounces a month, 3 drops. And you could even do more if you wanted, right? So that was our rule. He gave her 2 drops. And she had not smoked him. She was like 35 and she had not smoked since she was like 12.
Oh, shit.
And she lasted for maybe 10 minutes before she passed out.
Do you have any drops?
On me? No.
Yeah. I was going to say, we need to bless Tara with the holy anointing.
The holy
oil.
anointing.
I don't know.
So
I don't
You're
know.
gonna need your blessing.
your tongue. It's wonderful.
So the drops go under the tongue and they hit pretty darn instantly. And then, like she said, there's the extended release, but she had what was called the troches as well. And it was like a lozenge that you stuck in your.
I used to take a troche, estrogen or progesterone. Estrogen.
So it's like this gel substance you stick it under your tongue or in your car or whatever.
Yeah.
They were like 200 or 300 milligrams of
200.
THC.
200 was as most of that.
They were ridiculous.
Did it just rip
It
your
went
face
well,
off?
yeah, because it was 200
No,
milligrams,
it
but it
was-
hit you like
it was-
immediately. And like the first time I'd ever taken one, she like gave me one, and you could break them into quarters. I can't remember.
Yeah,
if I had the
yeah,
whole-
they're
I
like
can't remember if I had the
little
whole
waxy
thing or a
looking things, yeah.
quarter or whatever.
Yeah.
But like it was literally, as strong of a taste as having, you know, a quarter of a gram of BHO in your mouth, or more so because it was 200, you know, milligrams.
Wow.
And then I had one before I left her house, and I just drove around the neighborhood for like, I think, an hour. Like, I was just like, I have no clue what's going on.
My son, who's in Seattle, wanted a couple of, so I sent him home with some of them, and I said to him, do not take more than a quarter of one of these. It's like, I know I take the whole thing, but they're really strong. Don't take more than a quarter. And so when he called me later on, like the next day or two, he said that he got about to SeaTac Airport. Are you familiar with the area up there? Puget Sound? He got to SeaTac Airport and decided that was about the time, because he lived in downtown Seattle, that was about a good time, that it would hit him about the time that he got home. He was thinking.
No.
He was thinking.
Not with the trochee. Oh, not sublingual.
And not only that, I said, well, how much did you take? He said, well, I broke a quarter of that off, and I gave that to Jenna, and I did the rest.
Oh, he did 3/4 of it. Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
I was like, oh no,
I hope he stopped
what
driving.
happened? He said, I don't know how long it took me to get home. He
Oh,
said, all I know
shit.
is that every stoplight, he goes, I'd pull up to a stoplight, I'd stop, I'd look around, the light would turn green, and I would go, where am I? Where am I going? He said every single light.
We do not recommend this at home, or you do this.
No,
this,
Don't operate heavy
These are just
machinery.
bad stories. Learn, live. Learn, live.
And he said, as a matter of fact, even at one point, he said, while driving, he said, I looked over to the right, really nice classic Mustang. I think to myself, nice Mustang. Oh, fuck, where am I? Where am I going?
Okay, this is why you don't do that. Holy shit balls. Okay, I always blame it on the 70s children as well. All these drugs became illegal because they experimented a little too much, and those that did thought, oh, nobody should have this shit.
The
So-
70s children, we're talking about the children of the 60s
hippies,
children.
60s children. All you 60s children that had children of, so you're blaming it on the 60s, but in the 70s, you know, we're going to keep passing around the generations.
Oh, man.
So-
Yeah, that was, so
Good
you have
stuff,
to be,
you know.
but it's a pharmaceutical delivery device. And I started working with a pharmacist, who I still work with, Kate. It was illegal for her to touch cannabis and maintain her license. And it was illegal for me to touch any of her delivery devices. So together we both broke the law.
Oh my god.
And we came up with some really cool products, though. We did come up with some cool stuff.
Different Kate, not the one I was talking about earlier.
Broken,
Different Kate.
hypothetically broken, unjust law.
Yeah.
Hey,
yeah, right. It's our duty to break those laws.
And it's entertainment.
Damn right.
That could have been an, exaggeration or
Yeah, it
more
could-
story.
It could have been a lie. It could have
Yeah.
been an out and out lie.
Oh my gosh.
Just in case.
Oh man. The best one was like the first time my sister did butter that I'd made into chocolate sauce, really yummy chocolate sauce. And chocolate's one of the things that really hides the flavor well of cannabis. So
It does.
yeah, and she was angry at me because I had more chocolate sauce than she did, and it didn't set right with her that my excuse was that I had a higher tolerance and that she should be careful.
So with the chocolate comment, so it hides it really well. Do we also feel like it maybe accentuates it some? like
There's all sorts of
terpenes,
chemicals
you know,
in
obviously
chocolate.
terpenes
Dark chocolate,
and
cocoa, right?
things, like-
Well, yeah, it's got a caffeine like almost a twin to caffeine like substance in it. So
Well,
that
it's-
could be.
Yeah.
So it
doesn't
can
have an
activate it. It
anandamide,
can activate it
or either
faster.
helps the
Good.
body produce anandamide,
Yeah.
and then it's got tryptophan, and it's got, you know, I'm sure all sorts of
Yeah,
good shit.
so that you got that combination of things going. I could see that quite readily.
One of the first times I saw somebody pass out from a dab was 2013 High Times Cup outside of Seattle. It was like basically the first time I'd seen that much hash or that many e-nails. I mean, every table had an e-nail, every table had slabs, and before that, it just didn't seem like hash had really hit the market as like a thing. You know what I mean? Like it was just here or there, or people who were really in the know. And it was.
And when was that?
2013, I want to say,
2013.
maybe 2014, either or. It was.
Well, 14's when we passed. So it had to be
2013.
13 because that's.
But they never
when-
did the one here, 'cause they always did TBD,
Right.
TBD. Every
Right.
year they kept putting us off. But I think not just me, I think everybody else, it was also their first experience.
Right.
Just being in a place where there was as many dabs as you could smoke, because everybody was just giving out dabs. And I was just, you know,
That
you
was
get in
13.
line
Yeah,
and
that
you
was
just do a
13.
dab, you get in line, do a dab. And you know, there's probably 50 or 100 cannabis companies, and I tried to dab as many dabs as I could. And I saw a couple people puke, a couple people throw up. One of the days was kind of hot, so it might have been dehydration as well. But
But
You
if they
know-
were eating any, because there were some medibles there too.
oh, could have been.
And if
Oh,
they did a
edibles.
combination of the medibles and
There's
vaporizing
been
as
people on
well.
mushrooms or LSD too. I don't know, but I definitely saw a couple people like do a dab and then like stumble off and
Yeah.
fall over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was this stumble off.
But I mean, when you have hundreds of people doing, you know, dabs out in the sun.
I got to go back to the JD giving the woman the dabs and her falling asleep,
Uh-huh.
right? So now we got to like give her some time to wake up, and I don't know how much time that's going to be. It's like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So we start talking with this guy, and lots of conversation, and the conversation comes to a lull, and I'm like, you know, I have a sales background. I know how to resolve that. You just start asking questions. So I say,
She didn't
Well-
die on your couch, did she?
no, but
Okay.
no, but
Where's this going?
so I say to her husband, I say, well, tell me, Michael, what do you do for a living in New York City? Long pregnant pause. And he kind of looks to the ground and he said, well, I'm a New York City police officer. We just overdosed the wife of a New York City police officer. Oh, fuck.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, yeah. But he doesn't know shit, right? He doesn't know anything about cannabis, right? So the conversation continues, and then finally Joe says, man, I'm late for dinner already. I gotta go home. And JD's like, oh man, dinner happened at my house 2 hours ago. I know I'm in trouble.
Oh
So
my
they leave me with the cop, right?
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh, fuck it. And I got a garden in my basement. I got a medical garden going that has to be fed every night,
Oh my gosh.
you know?
Yeah.
And he's there. It's like 7 o'clock rolls around, and that's when I usually start feeding. And then 8 o'clock, and I'm getting worried. 9 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my God, these babies are getting thirsty. 10 o'clock, and I finally go, I have to go down there. I have to. I don't want them to wilt, you know?
Gotta take care of them girls.
And so I look at him and I say, so Michael, have you ever seen a medical garden? He said, no. I said, do you want to? And he said, yes. So I took him down into my garden.
What did he say?
His eyes were like saucers, because all my plants, I try to grow trees, and I only had like a 5-foot dome that I was growing under. So all my plants were against, they were huge. They were taking all the space, you know. But I didn't have very many. I had 8 plants, you know. Every week, take one out, put one in. And yeah, he
Keep
was,
it on rotation.
yeah, keeping it in rotation.
Perpetual.
And so, yeah, he was there till 11 o'clock. It was when she woke up
Wow.
Jeez.
and they left.
Wow.
I just was like so freaked
Wow.
out.
Drake's back. Hey, Drake. Hey, are we missing any questions in chat? Sorry, chat. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. You guys are amazing. I am so enjoying these stories today. How about you? This is so nice.
Yeah.
This
I
is just nice to
always
sit
love
and
hearing
chill and
stories from
smoke with
Carla.
freaking cool people and like that are like passionate, you know, passionate people just really inspire me to do this. And this is why I do this. I travel around and meet awesome, amazing people. Getting to meet a breeder last night. Eric's a breeder too. He's doing some autoflowers. Eric's trying to breed some autoflowers. Hey, everybody can be a breeder. Why not?
Sure.
You know, why
Yeah.
not?
Oh man, I should have brought my harvest from my autoflowers, which I planted.
Were those seeds I gave you?
Yes.
Oh, right on.
Okay, you guys talk about autoflowers for just a minute. I will be right back.
How those turn out?
Well, you know, it's like, when did I put them in the ground? The seeds in the ground.
I don't know.
It's like,
Probably
you
about
told me-
75 days before you harvested them, maybe 80.
that would have been preferable.
Well, when did you put them in the ground?
They probably went in the ground.
And did you germ them first, or did you do direct seed?
We did the direct seed
Right
because
on.
that's what you said was best to do, that not to move them around.
Yeah, not to.
So that's what I did. And every one of them popped.
They're real strong.
Every one of them popped. But
So maybe I am a breeder.
But I planted them like, when you gave them to me, it was late in the season as it was.
Yeah.
And it took me a couple of weeks to get mixture for soil all together for them. So they probably went into the mid-July-ish.
Right on. So they just recently finished.
No, they finished. I mean, they absolutely finished on their own. It was like
They're so fast, huh?
Oh, it was done. I was thinking that they would take, you know, this allotment of time, not that it seemed like it was associated with the weather, the sun. It had nothing to do with time.
Yeah, they don't give a shit.
And
The only thing they seem to care about is where their roots start coiling.
And I
So
had
they're pretty
them.
tiny? Or
Oh,
did
they
you-
were tiny. They were like little lollipops. They
Yeah,
were
if you
very
put them
cute.
in like a container with like loose soil that they don't have to fight, like in the ground.
Well, that's what I did. I got mixture. I put cocoa in it.
What size container?
Mostly the smallest ones were like 3 gallon, but most were 4
But
to
you still
6.
get like an ounce or something off each one or something? Or
Each one like an ounce off of all of them combined.
Oh man. Huh, so they got stunted somewhere.
They
along
got
the line.
stunted somewhere along the line.
Early,
Right on.
okay, so I believe with autoflowers, because I played around with them just a little bit, like people have given me seeds, like they gifted me seeds, so I've been lucky. And I wish I would have taken care of some of the ones that I was gifted, because there was some really pretty plants that probably could have been something.
Did you see? If
But
you
I
had
think
those
the
other ones?
autoflowers are like something that you plant and you like
Right.
that in the spot that they need to
Right.
grow in. Like you don't mess with them. Like
Right.
that's what I'm understanding.
They can be transplanted once if you want to start a tray full of them.
But you can't stress them in that first part.
They can't.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah.
be bound. They
Yeah.
can't be bound. Like
And I
as
did
soon
that.
as the roots start
Yep.
to peek out, it's like, all right, you got yours. And
Do you
then you
feel
have to
like you
keep
did
it
that
wet
with
though.
yours?
Wet the
I
whole
came
time.
with that recommendation from him. I planted them straight into the big pots.
Okay. And you still had a problem.
But I
Since
think
then-
it was late in the season because like my herbs that I planted at that point
Just
in
didn't get
time,
warm enough.
it was too warm.
Oh, too
I'm-
hot.
Yeah, right.
Well, if you don't keep them wet too,
Yeah.
like
I was
the whole time,
watering,
the
I was
roots will
watering
get
like
fried or
I was
pruned.
watering a couple of times a day. So I don't think it was that. I think that maybe I got the soil too rich, that I might have put.
you could
too
have fried
much.
the roots one way or another, because
Yeah,
whether the
that's
roots,
what I think I
whether
did.
the roots hit the bottom or the pot or the air, or they get fried or they get bound or they get dehydrated, that's when it starts to flower, and at that point there seems to be no
So-
more growth.
That's what I think I did. was-
With both of your experience and knowing people the way that you do in the cannabis field, would you suggest someone start off with an autoflower if they were just going into growing, or would it also determine where they were gonna grow, when they were gonna grow, if they have access to outside, inside?
It
What
depends
would
if
be
it's
your
like,
advice for a brand new grower? What should they start off with? What would you say?
it depends what your plant count is, and it depends what time of the season you're in, you know. If it's early in the season, or if you have indoor, or you have all the space or all the time in the world to play with autoflowers, that's cool, but you know, full terms are tried and true, especially in terms of yield, especially if you're worried about plant count. But I think autos are also, like, for a beginner, like, I think it'd be really cool to take an auto seed, put it in a solo cup and put it by your windowsill, and like, you barely have to do anything. And you just get a nice tiny little plant. You kind of watch the life cycle of a plant. But I wouldn't do it as a beginner expecting to get a huge
Right.
yield.
Yes.
I do it as like a learning experience. And like, if it's like, let's say it's spring and I'm gonna put out my 4 plants or my 6 plants for the season, and it's my first time growing, I wouldn't be putting out autoflower seeds.
But even, and I completely agree with what Eric just said,
Mhm.
but I would throw one more parameter in, and that is, what do you want to do? Because if you really want to do something, you're gonna do the research, you're gonna get into it.
Mhm.
And so your chances of success are higher. And then there's the other thing of, and I don't know how I've felt this way many times when I've set out to do something and then somebody talks me into something else, and then I feel like I always wish I would have. So I always throw that one in there too. Wish I would have things. If you really want to do something badly, you know,
Put the time in.
but put the time in, and don't be disappointed if you fail. That's just, you know, another learning step.
I really find that you get out of it what you put into
Mhm.
it. You know, really, you put the money or the time into growing a nice plant or an investment. And it is an investment, like people,
Time is an
time, but money.
The
Like
lights.
lights and room and space, like square footage is, you know, money these days, and an investment. You know, a lot of people are trying to do this in their houses, which they don't have a lot of space in their homes
Some
already.
people might be
you know?
renting a space
Or
to
they're
do it
renting
in.
and they can't
And
do,
that's
you know,
time
certain things.
times rent.
So I still feel like there's, you know, this, maybe they shouldn't maybe start off with an autoflower, if it's that picky right out of the gate. Like, I guess those are things I didn't think about when I was thinking.
Well, like I
saying
said,
maybe
is
somebody
it
should
the
try it
beginning
out.
of your outdoor full
Yeah.
term season, or is it like, I've got a cute little light I grow tomatoes with on my counter? A full term might get too big or bushy or long. As an auto, you finish up 75 days or sooner after you put the little
Yeah.
seed in the cup. You just watch the life cycle, you have
Yeah.
fun with it. So it depends who you are, what you want out of it. And some people, let's say you grow a ½ ounce of bud out of a Coca-Cola can or a
Some
little
people,
terracotta
that's
pot.
enough.
That might be enough for a month. That might be enough to get you in between. You keep doing autoflower seeds, and in between
Yeah.
every plant, you get a month's worth of meds.
Cool.
I mean, I used to buy a gram of weed back in Texas when I didn't really have a tolerance, and make the gram last a couple days, you know?
Oh my God.
How
when
crazy
did
is that thought, right?
Like, I
So
I
The
don't know.
grams, like 3 bowls, a bowl, you do like, you know, half of it, you save the rest for the next day, or I don't know.
Oh my
Just a little right before bed.
God.
Well, because an eighth would be like $50 to $65 back in Texas.
Oh, I remember those, saving all the roaches and then cutting off all the burnt bark so that you could, at least it would be roasty tasting, but it wouldn't be burnt tasting,
Burnt
right? Because
tasting,
you cut all the ash.
see, no,
Ash off.
yeah, I never lived through that.
Oh
I
my
wouldn't have
God.
done it. Sorry, I wouldn't have. Thank God for clean extracts and
You
for
wouldn't have
BHO
done it.
extracts. I would have never. You know what? Pens. Okay, so I can't say that I am solventless free. This one happens to be a rosin one, but they didn't used to have rosin, and it was all extractions. It wasn't, you know, it had solvent extractions, and if it wasn't for those, I wouldn't have been able to medicate and get me through the day, because pens are what got me through the day, because it's just inconvenient to walk around with a torch. My dad read all day, right? I do want to get to puff coats.
I just never left the house.
Well, I like to travel. See, here I am. I like
Well,
to travel.
that is why I was really excited to get hash oil, because flowers would only last a couple hours, and then I would have to medicate again. It was ridiculous where BHO would or hash oil period would last a few hours, like 4 anyway, before you'd even start thinking about it.
Yeah, it's just
So.
crazy. So I don't know. I want to ask her something like all the stories. Like, is there some stories like you want to have fun and tell on somebody? Like, have some fun stories, or do we want to talk more about like really what BHO means, and what, like, if you could talk about it and I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
What's
It's up to you. I'm game.
in your mind in cannabis right now, what's important? Because you and I are working on the Cannabis Commission, and then also some side projects in that space, like in the activist space. Like, moving forward in cannabis, what do you think is important for maybe for patients, or maybe for the industry as a whole, or for the plant as a medicine? Like, what do you think is most important moving forward, or at least what do you want to focus on? That might be too open-ended.
What I think about mostly with respect to cannabis is its effect on patients. The legal part of it is upsetting to me, in that the limitations that it's putting on cannabis, and the hoops that we have to jump through. What was one of the members of the subcommittee was saying here the other day, that you were safer running around with a pocket full of psilocybins and
Oh yeah, that was me.
was that you, or
Yeah.
cocaine?
Well,
or
yeah, I was
cocaine.
saying with our limits, we're only allowed to have 5 grams of cannabis oil as a patient. But with the new decriminalized rules, I can have 5 grams of cocaine, or 12 grams of mushrooms, or 40 hits of Oxycontin, or however many hits of acid. But I can only have 5 grams of hash oil. What?
Legally, I would like to see the laws at least all match, because we can only carry 5 grams with us, but we can
Right.
legally have an ounce. You can legally buy an ounce, you can legally possess an ounce, you can legally smoke an ounce, but you can't legally transport an ounce. You can only legally transport 5 grams
Of oil.
of oil.
Flour, 24 ounces.
5 grams. So how many can you go into, if you can go into a store?
In the store,
how
we
many
used to
grams
be
can you buy in a store?
5.
Because you can buy 7 in Washington.
You used to
As
be
a
able,
civilian or a patient?
Uh,
I don't even know if
it's
you don't
the
have a
same.
medical program.
I
anymore.
have a medical card,
Oh, do you
only to
still?
grow, only to grow.
Oh, right on.
Only to grow. I have a medical card to grow, and that's the only reason you would carry a card in Washington State.
The same
You
thing
don't-
here at this
Or you get
point. We
10%
still get a little
off.
bit of tax.
Bullshit, 10%.
Yeah.
I get 10% off. I go on Saturday. It doesn't really freaking matter. I save more money on Saturdays than I do as a medical patient. That's how sad that is. I have to wait for Saturdays to buy my weed.
For
For everybody else to have the Saturday off. Ridiculous. Isn't that stupid? Sad.
Sorry, we can't give you Saturday and your medical tax discount.
Yeah, can't have both. You can only get one. But
It's on
hopefully
discount.
I won't have to buy it. I'll grow my own. I'll have enough this year, y'all. Hopefully I'll have enough. Did anybody have any questions? You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out today.
but the other thing that I'd like to see though is more parity, more equity in the way patients are using cannabis versus the way patients use oxy or whatever else is prescribed in Western meds. I mean, it's not covered by your insurance. There are so many things. Have to keep it locked up. You can only have so much of it. The
The doctor's
government,
not allowed to tell you how much you're allowed to have.
right?
Oxycontin, they could.
Yeah, there's just so many stupid laws that keep it from being the same as medication. when that's what it is. And you know, and it's bound by law. It's written into the laws. And so you have to change the laws in order to make
Which
it
goes
right.
so slow unless they want to do it.
God, and then if they
wanna
don't
change
want
the
to
law,
do it, they
boom,
won't even listen
overnight.
to you.
But if you want change, years.
And it doesn't matter how logical it is. I mean, the descriptions of words are
The uphill
incorrect
battle.
by law. It's just ridiculous. So you know, you
One
don't,
law contradicting another law, right?
a lot
Yeah,
of that
and we'll
going
have,
on.
for instance, we voted the recreational bill in, and part of that was that the medical bill would remain unchanged and the medical system would remain unchanged. After the fact, they started changing things.
And they're
They
still
literally
doing it,
started
changed
changing
everything.
things on something we voted on after the fact. We might not have voted on it if that's what it had said.
If it had said that once it's legal, then we're gonna change everything. I wouldn't have voted for it if I knew they were gonna,
Like the
Freaking
psilocybin
destroy it.
restaurant, so like, what do you think? Like, what are some of the things? What are some of the things that like we're learning now, unfortunately, now that it is legal, and like how some of these laws are? What do you think that the biggest hurdle is going to be? That's a
There-
loaded question, huh?
it
Price,
isn't the large,
accessibility,
it isn't the
quality.
largest hurdle that's so ugly. It's that there are so fucking many of them. You get tired of leaping over hurdles,
Well, and
and
I
there's
feel
just
like,
another one right after it.
and they're
And
dividing
if there's
everybody.
not one,
Yes.
they will build it.
And they're dividing everybody into state, county. You're fighting literally against county and state laws
that might
Right.
contradict.
that are going to contradict one another to the next person. So nobody ever understands the laws because they're constantly changing. I don't know how businesses are keeping up. I have
OHA,
no idea how you guys are.
Well, it's
keeping up.
also how they keep the mom and pops out of it. The more complicated it is, you know, the more red
those
tape.
big companies have
Exactly.
got somebody that they hire to do just that.
Isn't that
Just
crap?
keep us legal. And even at that, who was it? Who was it in OHA that said the laws were so confusing and changing so fast that there was no way that anybody could be completely legal at any point
No.
in time?
There's no way.
Probably one of our inspectors speaking candidly. Was that someone speaking publicly?
No.
No, that was just somebody that was probably one of our inspectors. Or maybe.
Hey, I gotta jet out of here.
Hey, go ahead.
This has been awesome and super informative. It's been a pleasure chatting with you so far. I've just enjoyed being in the back here and dabbing out. So we're gonna head downtown. I'm gonna listen in from the background there. As always, Tara, it was a blast. Eric, it's great to see you as always. Sorry,
Thanks.
and Carla, it was fantastic hearing your stories. I can't wait to listen in some more and chat with you even more.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad you were here.
All right.
Thanks, Drake. We'll see you back on the next live.
Later,
Cheers. You
Drake.
guys have fun.
Cheers, Tara. Everyone out there, make sure to like, share, subscribe, and be on live chat, not top chat. Catch you later. That one out
Thanks,
for me.
Drake. We all want insurance to pay for our hash, bud, and oil. I
Exactly.
agree, it should. They
Well,
should
that's-
pay for that.
That's what insurance should be paying for it. It's like I have to buy the insurance. Why can't I use the insurance?
Yeah.
Because I can't use any Western meds. So I'm like just screwed. And I'm not the only one. There's a bunch of people like me.
Teo's screaming at me. What's the pen made out of? Heavy metals? Do I need to be worried about heavy metals in my pen? I'm assuming this.
What, that?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
screaming at me for this. Tell me.
There could be heavy metals inside the cartridge.
It's possible.
That's-
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing that you would have to find out who manufactured the cartridge and then what certifications they have on their pens. I'm
Okay.
sure a lot of them, there's some sort of glue in there, or the coil might have.
So
heavy
you were showing me
metal,
that one. Did you want to show that? That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Eric was showing me like a new dab tool. For the restroom, by the way.
I went before you got here.
Good job. Okay.
Let's see, I
Yeah.
had it.
Eric's gonna show this
Oh.
thing that he's been dabbing with, and he really believes
Travel
in it.
rig, travel rig.
Travel rig. And I don't travel with these, so I wanted to show it to y'all. So because here I got someone that's gonna talk about something to travel with, and I like it. And he really likes it, so it comes highly recommended. Value community and true information. Thanks, Diego. I do too. I value the community so much. You don't even know.
So Tara was saying she wanted a.
Okay, I'm gonna move out of the way.
Tara was saying she wanted a Puffco Peak, and I was saying that they were pretty pricey. And then my go-to for a couple of years now, because I've gone through every pen out there, has been this Yocan Vapor Pen. So I'll just show it. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. I have a matching cap, but I have it in the car, so this is just from one of the other ones I have. And then inside, you've got your chamber you can load. It's got, oh, there's
Right there,
the camera up there. I'm playing to the wrong
I don't know,
camera.
like wait.
It's
You're too
got
close, pull it back a little bit.
There we are.
There we go.
4 quartz rods
Hold-
in
yes,
there
hold
with a
it for
now. Hold it
ceramic
still.
hole. Is that really gonna help?
Yeah, wait. Hold it. Now back
Hold
up
it, hold
slowly.
it.
Now back up slowly.
So 4,
There.
oh, there it is, bang, 4 quartz rods. And you put the cap on and it hits really nice, but this most recent version I picked up is extra cool because it also has a version where you load that on one end and then wasn't prepared for this, I'm on the spot.
I know.
And
See
then
how
it's
I am?
got a 14 mil male piece that you screw onto one end, and then you can put it in a bong and then have a percolating water effect. And then you can also, let's see, I think I need a little extra piece for this, but there's a ceramic nectar collector piece you can put on. So they've got this little ceramic piece and then this little mouthpiece you put on the other end that you could draw from. So it's a 3-in-1, and the whole thing was like $60. Normally I get the one that's just this battery with the 4 quartz in the mouthpiece, and that's like $40 or $50. I've gone through a couple of those over the years, and they've just been really nice, but the batteries have all gone over time. Let's see, there's one more feature I was going to show you. Oh, so the bottom comes off here, and you can take it off completely. You don't have to though, but it comes off, and then the bottom half of that comes off. And you've got
You can
yourself
sit down if you
a
need to hold that on your
dual
lap.
compartment little hash container. So it's called the Yocan. I'm a big fan of it. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but Tara wanted me to show it off, so.
Yeah, I do, because anytime someone can show off new devices or new information to people that I come across, I want people to show it off on my channel, because I think it's important that people have
See what's available.
see availability, and just because I don't like it, you like it, you
And
know, one person
the
might
little
like it.
nectar collector
Yeah, the
piece
nectar
and the
collector I
glass,
thought was kind of
that's
cool.
pretty effing cool. And then the
As a travel rig.
and then
yeah.
the bong attachment, they've got like a 10 mil and a 14 mil attachment. That's new, but the Yocan itself has been around for quite some time, and
Yeah.
I've been using them for years. And bang for its buck, I think best travel rig out there. And then we were also talking about the water. You were like, well, it doesn't have water.
Okay, so
that's the
okay,
whole other
go
debate.
ahead. Let's talk about it.
So the
So-
other debate is,
Okay.
I'm saying I don't like water in my rig because if you smoke without water, you don't get all that resin. If you smoke with water, you're losing a lot of resin. On top of the fact, terpenes are water soluble, so there go probably a lot of your terpenes as well.
So you guys have been hitting this bong all day without water.
I think
And
there's
it's
water
got
in it
water.
now.
Is
there water
For the
in there?
past couple days, I've had water.
Oh, you put water in.
Because I
Okay,
had a friend
so
who wanted water.
Eric said, don't use water. So today I'm challenging myself to not use any water. So my little rig here, I have no water. I've been hitting all day without any water. I actually told Eric that I think I'm getting a little bit higher. I actually think I got a little higher, faster. Does that make?
I don't get
does that
high,
make any
so
sense?
it's like, I haven't been
I have to
high
have a
for a long
lot,
time.
I have to a
so.
lot. Well, a feeling, I guess, the feeling. I get the higher feeling,
I,
elevating
the
faster.
only thing that I notice that differentiates my headspace from being high or not being high is my ability to do math. If I can't do math, I mean, when I'm high, simple ratios are like impossible.
Math's always been hard for me anyway, so.
Well, I'm an electrical engineer by education, which
Oh,
is just
wow.
applied mathematics.
That's a lot, yeah.
What I
That's,
missed.
that's
Yeah.
what I
You
am.
talking shit about me?
Yeah, always. Shh, don't tell Eric he's back. Well, I think this conversation's been amazing. I really respect your guys' time, and I know there was a lot of things that, you know, you wanted to do, and you
Yeah.
probably have a
I
lot going
gotta-
on.
Well,
Lot
we're
to
gonna go
drive.
Yeah,
mushroom
we're gonna
hunting.
go, hopefully go get some
Oh, are
mushrooms,
you?
I think
so,
that's the plan.
yeah.
Oh, what kind of mushrooms?
Well, I found about 10 pounds of oysters the other day up north, and then I found some hen of the woods and turkey tail the other direction.
I found some puff balls. I just made puffball
Right
mushroom
on.
gravy.
I've got a bunch of oysters.
Really?
I've got a bunch of oysters and chicken of the
Oh.
woods or hen of the woods, whichever. No,
Yeah.
hen of the woods. Hen of the woods and oysters in the dehydrator right now. So if you want, I'll send you off with some.
Sweet.
Oh, we should microdose before we go too. Cause it's legal. It's
It's
legal.
Decriminalized.
Oh. Okay, you guys, any final thoughts today? Thank you for joining us. And
No, you just kind of wiped my brain clean. I wasn't
How
preparing
many
for this
people
when
in
I
the
came.
chat?
I don't even know how many people we have, at least 15 or so out there, 16, 17. I saw 20, I saw 30 at one time. I don't know.
Is anyone
I
in
wasn't
the,
paying
in the area?
Do we have anybody in Oregon? Anybody in Salem, Oregon
Portland,
out
Salem,
there?
Eugene.
Anybody in Portland, Salem, Oregon area?
Grants Pass.
I bet
Medford.
Eric's gonna
I
throw
mean, if
something
you
out
like
there for you.
driving, maybe. I don't know. I
But
guess I'm
by the way,
seeing-
Eric, let's talk about your website really quick. What do you have for
Alright.
sale? What do you sell? Real quick, go ahead.
So fatdogcbd.com, we got terpenes, single distilled terpenes if you like that. We also have really affordable CBD and CBG distillate, doing like $1 a gram, but you have to buy 100 grams. And then we have smaller amounts as well at also affordable prices. And then
So the smallest of CBD you can buy right now is 1 gram, and it's how much? $9.
$9.
$9 for a whole
But
gram,
you
you
need to buy
guys.
a couple things to get
No.
free shipping.
I paid $50 for my 50. I paid $90 for my first gram of CBD right here in
And
Oregon.
there's still a lot of
The first time
there's
I bought
still a lot of
CBD was
grams
right
of
here in
CBD
Oregon.
isolate out there
It
for
took
20,
me
30, 40
forever
bucks.
to find CBD because my mom was getting seizures. And
Well,
so,
it used to count as a plant.
well, right, it did count as a
Yeah,
plant.
it wasn't hemp.
It wasn't hemp,
Yeah,
it was a CBD plant. And it took me forever, probably 6 months to maybe a year to find a plant. And then, I grew trees. So, it's like another 6 months to get it ready to harvest and another few weeks to cure it and extract it and formulate it into meds to give to my mother. And it turned her into the teenage bitch from hell. She needed to be high. She needed to forget she was dying,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Can't say I don't blame her.
I never could resolve her seizures with it. I tried dosing her at night right before she went to bed, and then sneaking in the morning before she woke up and sliding the dropper under her, in between her cheeks, under her tongue, and dosing her with
Oh.
THC before she woke up in the morning.
Is this still part of the ad for Fat Dog?
Yeah.
No, I was joking.
Yeah.
I was like,
It's Fat Dog CBD.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fat Dog CBD. Sneak in your mom's room and put CBD in her mouth.
Because we recommend that.
Oh,
It's Fat Dog
no.
CBD.
That's what I was saying. I was like, is this still part of the ad? Like, are we doing a read here?
Oh, man.
Have another dab.
God.
You guys are awesome.
Oh,
Thanks
man.
for hanging out today. Any final thoughts? Go ahead.
Oh, no final thoughts. That's
Okay.
it.
Any final thoughts?
No thoughts at all.
Yeah, no thoughts.
No thoughts.
Go out.
I might have
Plant a
a-
tree. Let's go find some mushrooms. Thanks everybody for hanging in there. We really appreciate it. We really do. We really are people that believe in the plant. I love meeting more people of the cannabis community. It's a way to bring everybody together and, building that mycelium web. As long as we can get that fungus out there, fungus and fungus, we're gonna have it.
I'm just trying to be a fun guy.
You are a fun guy, man. That's why I'm.
Who was it? There was some place where, it was a burger place. It was this really cool burger place.
Oh, bring up
in
food! I'm
Portland
starving. Oh no, now we gotta go.
that had a hamburger that they made that was called the fun guy, and it was a portobello mushroom burger.
Oh, let me go get you some dried mushrooms as we wrap up.
Oh, you want to see some dried mushrooms?
Oh, and I want some down.
They're in the
We're out
dehydrator. So we'll wrap up here,
Okay.
and then I'm gonna give Carla some mushrooms.
You guys have a fabulous day. We're gonna go find some fungus and maybe I'll post them on Instagram. Maybe we'll go live on Instagram. Go follow us on Instagram. We'll go live on Instagram if we have reception.
Well, no. I don't
No,
know, to
we
find our
can't
mushroom
show you
spot.
where the mushroom spots are, right?
Yeah, the spots are
They'll
secret.
find it by the stars and the sounds of
We'll show you the
trains in the
mushrooms later.
distance.